Hey, what's up guys, it's Apollo Uchiha here, back with the next part of What If Naruto Had Asuras Memories. Now before continuing this part, if you haven't, then please do leave a like and subscribe to my channel if you like the content of this channel. And without further ado, let's continue with our story. Previously, my name is Uchiha Sayuri, and you two will be answering some of my questions. Oh, Itachi's a little emoto, Kakazu remarked. Eden cackled mildly. Foolish little girl. Do you think you'll be able to make us answer you? We're S-rank shinobi. What makes you think you could stand up to us? Sayori looked at them with a level gaze, raising the tenpachi. Try me. Well, it's your funeral, girl, Hidan exclaimed, right before he lunged at her, much to Kakazu's annoyance. Due to his lack of planning, he supposed that was the point since Hidan could basically throw himself into battle however recklessly he wanted without dying. Sayori dodged the psyche, then parried it with her sword. When it was next swung at her, Hidan remained unfazed and bore a maniacal grin on his face as he swiped at the Uchiha unrelentingly. With the crazed laugh, he declared, I got this, Kakazu. Stay out of my kill. His partner grunted but agreed silently. Perhaps Itachi's little sister would give him a lesson in humility and strategy he would not forget. She sidestepped another swing of his and smacked the back of his head with the flat of her blade. The man growled and put force into his backswing. Sayori evaded it by ducking, and once it swung past her, she quickly stood up and capitalized on his open form. The Uchiha took a step forward and with a flick of her wrist delivered an arcing shot to his left shoulder. The folded metal edge of the cataclysm ate through fabric and found flesh, leaving behind a 3.5 cm wide laceration. Gripping the handle tightly, the Uchiha ducked the sword downwards before pulling it away to avoid Hidan's corporal attack. She jumped back as he roared, You little bitch! I swear to Jashin-sama I will have your blood. Kakazu watched the fight with silently and slight amusement. Sorry, the misspelled was here. Anyways, on to our story. This girl had kept up with the agile Bukijutsu specialist without even using her clan's fable eyes, and even drew first blood. It appeared that she had her brother's skill. Well, not that it mattered. All it would take was one small nick. Sayori analyzed her brief exchange and realized that for an S-rank shinobi, he was rather impulsive and reckless. There must have been a trump card that he was hiding, the reason behind his complacency. She was snapped out of her thoughts by Hidan's right hand flashing quickly as he tossed his triple-bladed psyche at her. Instantaneously, her dojutsu activated and trackled the airborne weapon, curvilinear trajectory. It was aimed at her chest, and she would have time to carefully avoid this. The moment before it struck, a gun glowed. All of a sudden, the psyche penetrated Kakazu's sternum, and Sayuri was at where he previously stood. The Uchiha wasted no time at firing electrified shuriken at the cable connecting his psyche to his hand. They discharged a powerful electric shock through the cable, electrocuting both S-rank shinobi at once. Hidan, however, seemed unafflicted by the Raiton chakra as she swapped with her shuriken and quickly closed the distance between her and the grey-haired shinobi. Sayori brought the tenpachi down, but it was blocked by the sudden extension of a spear that was drawn from within the sleeve of his free arm. She stepped back as he simultaneously swiped at her with the retractable spear and yanked the cable off his right hand, which withdrew the psyche from Kakazu's chest and caused it to fly towards her from behind. The tomos in her right eye spun before merging into a black mass that expanded and transformed into an atom-molded patron. The psyche phased through her harmlessly and plunged into Hidan himself as he was in the path of his own weapon, causing him to fly back and crash into a tree from the unexpected force. He had not accounted for this possibility, which annoyed the heck out of him, as it immediately reminded him of his fellow member, Toby. Kakazu, on the other hand, growled in pain while clutching his chest. The girl was not to be underestimated, or she had harmed them both twice in the short span of 6 seconds. The Uchiha's mind shifted into hyperanalysis mode. While sheathing her sword, the initial electrocution had not even affected Hidan, although it clearly hurt Kakazu. When she was in close quarters with the grey-haired man, she noticed that the injury she had previously left on his left shoulder disappeared. Now he was impaled by his own scythe, and yet impossibly he stood up and removed his scythe from his chest, appearing completely unscratched. Was he some kind of immortal? Physical damage didn't seem to have any effect on him. Thankfully, he was rather overconfident for his own durability, and that caused him to be reckless. Sayori grimaced. There was only one way to do this, but first, she would have to separate the two, because now that she had brought Kakazu into the fight, she doubted that he would just stand still. Her fingers formed across time. She would have to thank Naruto for this. Kagebunshin no Jutsu. With a burst of smoke, Shadow Clone materialized into existence and took on Kakazu. She quickly launched herself at Hidan and engaged in a taijutsu battle. If she had to be honest, she was more wary of Kakazu. The man had not given any of his ability away. Her mind returned to the immortal, deflecting his punch. He countered by bringing his weapon down. Her chakra flared as she declared Shinra Tensei. An invisible force rippled outwards from her, blasting the immortal away. Those eyes! I see now, Jashin-sama. Would be pleased to have your blood. He screamed in delight. Sayori realized that it'd probably be a bad idea for him to draw her blood, since he kept on ranting about this god, who apparently was the one who bestowed him with immortality. The Uchiha clapped her hands. Chikoshodo, a giant chameleon, burst into existence behind Hidan, but he could not see it until it materialized after binding him with its tongue. What the fuck? This is disgusting! Hidan swore. With its tail, the chameleon disarmed him while Sayori appeared before him. Jikodo, she muttered as the kings of hell had rose from the ground. Ringendo, she intoned, tapping his chest. A purplish aura wrapped around her hand, enabling her to draw out the soul of Hidan. She watched emotionlessly as he struggled against his bonds, though it eventually proved futile as Sayori yanked out his soul and stored it within the kings of hell's mouth. All his memories entered her mind. Once she dispelled the chameleon, she launched a tornado kick on the corpse of the immortal towards a tree before it hit the ground, then pinned it with a well-placed flame control arrow. One down, two to go. Sayori ran towards Kakazu while dispelling her clone, letting its memory come to her. From what her Kagebunshin gleaned, the Takinukin was able to utilize a ninjutsu that hardened his skin to something akin to a diamond that could break a kunai. The Uchiha sprinted towards her opponent and immediately went on the offensive, pushing him back. Kakazu was not the one to be easily beaten in taijutsu. In fact, his experience was the main reason why he could maintain parity with Sayori's Sharingan augmented style. He dodged back from a fast swipe from Sayori, then caught her arm as it came back. His other hand attempted a punch, but it was quickly halted by her knee. The Uchiha then flicked out her foot, breaking his grip on her. She then shifted the defensive as the Takinukin returned with a series of kicks. She deflected the two first, then stepped back to evade the rest. Sayori jumped to avoid a low kick, executing a layout over Kakazu's head, while her right hand formed the Taritutsu no In. Where her feet contacted the floor, she pushed back more and backflipped away from the Nuklin. Katon, Gokyaku no Jutsu. She launched a giant fireball of flames at Kakazu, who quickly countered with a jutsu of his own. Suiton, Sujin Hakai. Water burst from his floor and blocked the incoming assault of flames, resulting in mist that obscured the Nuklin's vision. He was not fooled, however, and sensed the Uchiha zipping past him. Kakazu spun around and formed three hand seals, which Sayori's dojutsu tracked and copied. Katon, Cranium Craver. A firestorm erupted from a red mass that bursted out of Kakazu's back and towards Sayori's own technique that clashed and cancelled it out. Suddenly, black threads spread out of Kakazu's back and formed four different giant masses that flanked him, each having a colored mask. Sayori could see with her Rinnegan that different elemental affinities each creature possessed. Currently, they were built up of Rhython chakra in the creature with the yellow mask, Rhython. False darkness, Kakazu shouted before the creature launched a powerful beam of light in the shape of spear at Sayori. The Uchiha hand flared with Rhython chakra and manifested with the roar of thousand birds. Fearlessly, the girl brought her hand to meet with the incoming stream of lightning. By now, her Chidori was already on par with Kakashi's Raikiri, which made it S rank, and thus it was easily overpowered the B rank Rhython jutsu. She did not stop there. Chidori, sharp spree. Sayori's hand crackled as shape transformed was applied to her Chidori, causing a thin but sharp line to shoot across what had once been the false darkness. With great precision, the element of surprise, it tore through the lightning mask, destroying the creature. Sari quickly maneuvered her hand, swiping the entire spear horizontally in an attempt to take out the rest. Of course, Kakazu and his organisms would not make it so easy for her, just jumped out of the way while launching jutsus of their own. Futon, Atsugai, Katon, Zukoku. The two jutsus combined into a giant inferno that swiftly closed the distance between Sayuri and Kakazu. At her command, eternal flames of purple wrapped around Sayuri and formed a massive ribcage that shielded her from the effects of the combination jutsu. The Uchiha poured even more chakra into the Susanoo, manifesting in the shape of a titan. The bow on its left arm was quickly knocked with 3 arrows, taking one only a second to aim. Sayuri fired all 3 arrows at once and used Amento J-Kara to speed up the one headed towards the wind mask, as it would severely handicap the tactic of cooperation in jutsu utilized by the masks. After all, what kind of technique could result from fire and water combined? As expected, the wind mask was obliterated while the fire mask's body was hit. The water mask narrowly missed the arrow. Of course, for the fire mask, the damage was only temporary, as the black threads simply repaired themselves. Unexpectedly, Kakazu's hand burst out from the ground within the Susanoo, connected the black threads, which enabled Kakazu to remotely control it. She lashed onto Sayuri's ankle and quickly ripped her out of the protective envelope and straight towards the tree. She smashed into the trunk and great impact, causing splinters of wood to split everywhere. Damn it! Kawirami! The nuclean cursed. Katon. Sukoku. Kakazu called once again. At the last minute, Sayuri swapped with the water mask, causing it to be overwhelmingly damaged with the flames. This technique again. You're getting boring, Kakazu, the Uchiha remarked as she initiated Amaterasu on the black flames on the fire mask and took it out. Now completely disarmed, Kakazu had no choice but to use taijutsu. The nuclean threw a punch at Sayuri, who quickly dodged it and slapped it away. He spun around and struck with his other fist. The Uchiha blocked with her other hand. Seizing his left arm, she swiped a knife hand across his arm towards his head. Kakazu defeatedly weaved around her strike and with ferocious speed entered her guard. Earth style, iron skin, Kakazu roared before he stabbed her chest with the diamond-edged thrust of his hand. Lifting her up with her bare strength, the Uchiha gurgled as blood flowed out of her mouth from the initial injury. You have caused me such loss, Uchiha Sayuri. I confess your title as Konoha no Raijin is well deserved, but no matter, for I have triumphed again. Your heart will be the first one to help restore my collection. Sayuri grinned, showing her bloody teeth. There was a good sign. When you had your hand through your opponent's lung cavity, there was only one reason why he had even smiled. The Uchiha before his eyes mentally melted into nothingness. Genjutsu. I've been had. Kakazu had felt a hand tap his back. Sayuri had activated her Kyoken no Jutsu and was quickly backpedaling away from the Takinukin as she drew out his soul. Just like his partner, Kakazu's lifetime of memories flooded into her mind, and it was rich indeed. He had lived since the time of the Shodai Hokage and even forgot him. It gave her a good idea of what Naruto would be like at his prime. Of course, the information she was after was more important. Flashback. The members of the Akatsuki were in a meeting conducted over their holographic rings. Itachi, Kisame, the two of you will be the charge of capturing the Yonbei Jinchurikin Eva and bring him back here to Ame for sealing process. We should be done with the Yagura by then, High Leader-sama, Itachi said to the man with the Rinnegan. Hidan and Kakuzu, you two will deal with the Nanabe Jinchurikin Taki, the man ordered. Hi, my home village. Kakuzu muttered to himself present. She had dealt with 2 S-rank mutants and now she knew where to go find her brother. However, she also had to accept the fact that there was another Rinnegan user in the Elemental Nation. At least that explained who was the one who could conjure the Garumazu, given that what Naruto told her after they had defeated Gaara. Sayuri sighed. It would be a good time to crash in both corpses at the Hokage office one day later. There have been reported that the bodies of Kakazu and Hidan, 2 nucleons from the Akatsuki, have been cashed in at a local bounty office by Sayuri, said Jiraiya. Just recently, she ended Yagura's regime by single-handedly killing off tens of thousands strong loyalist army. The girl is getting extremely strong as the day passes, and I dare say she is at Naruto's level, Tsunade remarked. Jiraiya nodded. It's no coincidence that she's targeted the Akatsuki because her brother is there. There's no doubt that she will soon find him and fight him. We have to keep her in check because officially she is still in Konoha's services and whatever she does will be attributed to us. To put it bluntly, she's a powerful but loose cannon, stated the Hokage. The Toad Sage agreed, but added, anything we do must be done carefully because Naruto still has dangerously strong attachment to her, and whatever becomes of her might affect his loyalty to the village. Worse, Danzo might capitalize on the situation and sway him to his side. Tsunade sighed. It was a precocious situation, having to deal with someone outside her control, while ensuring the warmongering Danzo didn't try anything funny. She just wished that there was enough evidence to charge him just to get rid of him. So far, Jiraiya did not have any luck. Alright then, Hime. Guess we'll just have to wait and see. Make sure Naruto knows none of this, and he'll be bound to act rashly. With that, the Kamasani jumped out of the window, leaving Tsunade to retrieve a bottle of sake from her desk drawers. She popped open the cap and took a swing. Kami-sama, why did I take this job again? Ame bought her. 1 day later, Itachi and Kisame approached the entrance of Omegakure, with the former carrying the battered body of the Yonbei Jinchuriki, Roshi. They halted upon seeing a cloaked figure seated patiently in the middle of the road as the rain pattered on the person's hood. As if noticing her approach, the figure looked up. Through the ambitious darkness shrouding Ame made it difficult to see who it was. All they could see out was a single eye glowing in a menacing vermilion with 3 tomos, commonly spinning in them. Itachi passed the body of Jinchuriki to his brother. Kisame, go out ahead and deliver this to the HQ. I will deal with this. Though I can't say if I'll make it back. The Kyuryukin raised an eyebrow. Oh, I see. She has finally come for you. Well, good luck, Itachi. It was nice working with you, while it lasted. With that, the man disappeared. So, Imoto, you're finally here, spoke Itachi, and Sayuri stood up, pushed back her hood, exposing her beautiful face, marred by raindrops. You've grown up into a fine lady. I'm impressed that you fought me. Though I'm not surprised, given the recent massacre of Kiri army and the news of the immortal duo's death. Itachi continued, Nissan, you have no idea how long I've been waiting for this day, said Sayuri darkly, ignoring his comments without warning. She unleashed her pointed chakra and let it radiate freely, exposing her hatred for the brother that had caused her so much pain, and even led her to hurt her own friend, her best friend, her would-be fiancé. The wind whipped around as her chakra continued to scar the land, creating cracks in the concrete floor beneath her. It was visible by the dark purple aura that shrouded her, akin to a thundercloud surrounded by flash of lightnings. It seems that you have allowed the hate within you to grow, and because of it you achieved true strength. Suddenly, the younger Uchiha appeared in front of her, her sword impaling his chest. Shut up! You do not know of how I gained my power. My Sharingan was a beacon from my love. My hatred for you merely advanced it. Because of it, I gained a power greater than the Sharingan one most can only dream of, and this is how I know you're not showing your true self. Itachi burst into a murder of crows that regrouped further away from her. When you're ready, find me at the old Uchiha hideout in Hinokuni, his deep voice announced. With that, the crows took a flight. Sayuri flipped her sword and deftly returned it to its scabbard as she glared at the retreating forms of crows. Uchiha hideout later. Footsteps felt at the abandoned concrete of the Uchiha clan's outpost, echoing within the large chamber that formed the main hall of the hideout. Seated on the throne of stone was a platform in the hall was Uchiha Itachi, calm and poised. Well, Nissan, are you gonna run away again? Asked Sayuri. Itachi didn't reply. I want to answer. Why did you massacre our clan? I told you before, and I'll say it again, Sayuri. I did it to test my strength, and the clan proved to be disappointingly weak. Her sister growled. You bastard! What did they deserve to get it? What about Kasan? Tosan? At this point, her blood was boiling, and just like before, her purple chakra flared. They were the same, foolish Uchihas. The cursed clan that loved to flaunt their powers, a clan so bound by hatred with a history steeped in blood. Don't you understand, Sayuri? The instant you entered this world, you were destined for a bloodthirsty life. But I will be the one to free from the curse of hatred. I will be the one to wield the eternal Mangekyo Sharingan. Itachi ranted in an almost maniacal craze. Sayuri exploded in a fit of unbridled rage. And you're any different? You wanted the power of the Mangekyo Sharingan for yourself, and just to do that you killed Shisui. then murdered the whole clan but left me alive so that I would obtain it too, and ultimately I was just your spare pair of eyes." The younger Uchiha screamed. Itachi smirked. "That's right, Emoto. Why do you think I kept you alive and treated you so well? When you were younger, you were my prized spares, my only path to true power. You are the only one who will remove all my limitations, and after I kill you, I will be unstoppable. I swear to Kami-sama, I'll kill you today, if it's the last thing I do." Sayuri roared. With a savage cry, freed her sword from the scabbard. "Try to make it happen," responded the elder brother, who suddenly appeared before her. The girl slashed outwards with her tsurugi, causing him to jump backwards. Sayuri returned with a downward swipe that Itachi sidesteps. He retaliated with 2 punches that were blocked. She switched to her right hand and swept her sword upwards in one swift stroke that Itachi just narrowly avoided. Without warning, she dropped the tsurugi into her left hand and while wielding it upside down, jumped in at the Uchiha. The elder Uchiha quickly evaded backwards to avoid the edge of the blade. Now in the air, Sayuri brought her right hand into a seal of confrontation before her chest. A torrent of flames exploded from her mouth, heading straight towards Itachi. The Konoha Nukenin leapt up to dodge the fireball and came face to face with his sister, who launched a kick to his stomach. Itachi crashed onto the ground and flipped into a upright position just as she landed. He drew a kunai and lunged at her, prompting her to block it with her sword. The tip of the sharp implant pressed against the polished blade of the tenpachi, which reflected Itachi's eyes, red and swirling with magatama. Sayuri glared at him with her onyx eyes that then bled into a vermilion glowing. With her left hand, she gripped the handle of her tsurugi. She executed 2 hand seals, exhalating a sudden discharge of Rhython chakra. Itachi retreated upon noticing the chakra build-up, just in time to avoid the potentially lethal explosion of electricity. Sayuri stabbed the tenpachi into the concrete and yelled, "Chidori Nagashi!" Rhython chakra radiated outwards and rushed towards Itachi, who calmly threw a kunai at her. The girl extracted the sword from the ground and knocked away the projectile. It spun in mid-air, then in a burst of smoke, revealed itself to be a shadow clone. It substituted with the original, who simultaneously avoided the Rhython jutsu and closed the gap between him and Sayuri. Flashing through a string of hand seals, the elder Uchiha then spotted a fireball at him. At point-blank range, the fire engulfed his sister. For a moment, nothing could be seen. Gradually, however, the fire stream diminished in size before revealing an unharmed Sayuri, with her outstretched hand siphoning what appeared to be chakra from the jutsu. Itachi's eyes widened slightly, though not enough to appear as if his composure had been lost. So it's true. By now, Sayuri's right eye had transformed into Chokotomo Mangekyo. Her bang swayed to the side, revealing the divine dojutsu behind it. "You possess the Rinnegan. That accounted for a rumor of you forming a satellite and devastating the Kiri army," stated Itachi. The young Uchiha replied, "That's right. Enough of these games, Anija. No more genjutsu." Both of them began to melt into nothingness. "You really exceeded my expectations, Emoto. I'm really impressed by your growth," remarked the still-sated Uchiha. I would have to warn you not to underestimate me, but you will lose your life today anyways," responded Sayuri when she did the cataclysm. She brought her left hand over her right hand, summoning lightning flash blade creation. Sayuri yelled as she fired dozens of summoned shurikens at her brother, stealing the initiative. Itachi sprung out of the throne, leaving it to be impaled by the dangerous projectiles. With great speed, he ripped several weapons of his own out of his pouch and flung them at the Sayuri as he flipped overhead. The young Uchiha accurately knocked them away with a kunai, then threw it at her brother, along with 30 other similar weapons. The elder Uchiha landed and rapidly fired his projectiles, deflecting his sister's relentless onslaught. They went on for the next 20 seconds. Just as suddenly it had started, the clang of metal seized as the 2 Uchiha siblings clashed among the hundreds of scattered shurikens and kunais. They were in the deadlock, with Itachi gripping Sayuri's left arm with his right, and vice versa. Another Itachi leapt up from behind the original, wielding 3 kunais with it and tossed it at her. He managed to form a shadow clone during all this throwing, thought Sayori, who looked up at the Kagebunshin and tracked the incoming projectile Shinra Tensei. A force rippled out and plunged into anything surrounding her in a 5 meters radius, knocking them away. She did not waste time and swiftly drew a Fuma Shuriken from her storage shield. Sayori tossed the giant windmill Shuriken at her brother, whose clone stepped up and looked the damage for the original. It scattered into crows, which flew at her while transforming into a shuriken. She weaved a sequence of hand signs before declaring, "Six-Spot, Yin-Style, Great Flame, Dragon Jutsu." Enormous dragons erupted from her mouth as she pumped out a copious volume of Katon Chakra, augmented by the Six-Spot's Yin power. They engulfed the shuriken and easily incinerated them before heading towards the elder Uchiha. Itachi, alarmed by the powerful inferno, knew that it was no ordinary Katon Jutsu that could be put out by water. His eyes morphed into the Mangekyo state. "Amaterus," he intoned. Black flames sprouted out on the dragon head, ferociously fighting them. With a metal command, Sayori directed the dragon skywards along with the black flames on their face, causing them to obliterate the ceiling of the hideout and disappearing into the clouds above. Itachi frowned. There was no reason why Sayori would do it unless she had a plan. Whatever it was, he had to be prepared to face it. He clutched his eye in pain, closing them for a moment. "What's wrong, Itachi-ni?" Sayori taunted. "Is your Mangekyo giving you some trouble?" Itachi did not let it get to him. He grimaced as he opened his eyes, bleeding. The elder Uchiha looked up in the sky and saw the anonymous cloud steering overhead, lightning just flashing upon the horizon. "Don't look away, Anija," came the warning voice of Sayori at his ear, just before she launched a kick into his stomach and launching him into a far wall with a forceful tornado kick. Itachi had not even sensed her approach and thus was caught completely off guard. He got up and Sayori's hand began to crackle with Chidori, and a purple avatar protected her. Lightning overhead coalesced into a single point, transfiguring into a giant beast of lightning that seemed almost divine. Its red eyes and intimidating face was enough to drive Itachi to action. "And now, be gone with the thunderclap," commanded Sayori, who swung her hand down. The large dragonoid closed the distance between it and Itachi in a mere fraction of a second, instantly obliterating the hideout and reducing the environment into a rubble. The ensuing explosion was bright, but Sayori could see it through her ray-gun. As expected, her brother had gotten out of the explosion alive by activating his Susanoo. Of course, that was her plan. She knew that the prolonged use of the Mangekyo would ultimately result in fatigue. The orange titan that surrounded Itachi faded away as he got weaker. Meanwhile, he watched as Sayori strode towards him, her own Susanoo disappearing. The Konoha Nuclean was panting hard because his overuse of the Mangekyo had exacerbated his condition and caused his health to deteriorate further. The end was here. Well, he still had the action in him, as he had to fight to the end. Sayori stopped right in front of him. "Pathetic traitor. You should look at yourself, Nissan. You're on the verge of death from the usage of Mangekyo, but I will not allow you to die from it. I must be the one to claim your life." She stepped forward and pressed her palm to his chest. "Finally, the Uchiha clan is avenged. This is it, Itachi ni Ningendo Kyokan no Jutsu." Purple light radiated from the spot where she touched his chest. She proceeded to drag out his soul. He offered no resistance, though it was not as if he could, even as if he wanted to, due to his state. Blood from his mouth began to drip, but in spite of this, Itachi smiled. "I guess this is it, Sayori," the elder Uchiha whispered. "Good riddance." Sayori spat before she completely yanked out his soul. Itachi's corpse collapsed to the floor with a loud thud. His lifetimes of memory entered her mind. Flashback. "What happened to you, Shisui?" asked Itachi in concern, clutching his bleeding eye. Socket in agony, the other Uchiha replied, as he panted hardly. "That bastard Danzo, he got one of my eyes," Itachi growled. "That man can be trusted. He wants the power of the Kodomo Tsukami for himself." Shisui nodded. "Knowing him, he'll come for my left eye next," said Shisui. "That's why I'm entrusting this to you." As he said that, the Uchiha gouged out his left eye. Itachi was shocked. But why? Maybe Danzo was right. Changing the mindset of the leaders won't change the whole clan's state sentiments. But I believe you can do it, Itachi. You're my best friend, the only one I can count on. Protect the peace of the village and the Uchiha name. Free our clan from the curse of hatred. Shisui pressed the remaining eye into Itachi's hand. The younger Uchiha accepted it relentlessly. "Wait then, this is goodbye, Itachi-kun. Don't join us, and me, practically too soon," said Shisui with a smile, before he leapt off the cliff and drowned in the river. Itachi cried as he watched his friend commit suicide in front of him, and it had intended, in fact, Shisui had planned for. Itachi Sharingan matured into the next stage, the Mangekyo Sharingan present. Sayori was shocked, just as her brother was all those years ago. Itachi had not murdered Shisui, and what was this about the clan and the peace of the village? Flashback. Itachi knelt before the honorable elder Shimura Danzo. Danzo-sama, I believe there is still a way. Stop, Itachi. It is pointless. There is no outcome that can see the Uchiha's clan's survival, declared the elder. I'll give you a choice, Itachi. Either you support the Uchiha coup d'etat and have the whole clan, including Sayori, killed in the ensuing conflict, or you can accept the assignment to wipe out the clan before the coup starts and be allowed to spare your little Imoto. Itachi grimaced, but the choice was obvious. The Uchiha stood up. It will be done. By tomorrow morning, the Uchiha clan will cease to exist. Present, Sayori's eyes widened. Just what the hell was going on? The Uchiha clan was staging a revolt against Konoha? Millions of questions raced through her mind. As she recounted more memories, it seems that there was more to meet the eye behind the clan's massacre. Flashback. Itachi stopped a mysterious man with a mask as he was walking in the forest near the Uchiha clan compound. How do you know about me? The man asked. You slipped through the high levels of Konoha security and went to examine the Nakano Shrine secret stone tablet. Only the Uchiha are aware of its location after that. I studied your movements and looked into what kind of character you are, but your ideology is... Well, that saves me much, for you already know that I am Madara Uchiha, and bear hatred towards both Konoha and my own clan. Itachi replied, I have terms. I'll help you exact revenge upon the Uchiha clan, but you are not to harm the village itself, nor Uchiha Sayori. I agree, but I'll join you. This is not negotiable. Present. So that other Uchihas was involved in the killing the clan, and Sayori was certain from her inheritance of Indra Chakra that Madara could not have been alive at the same time she was. She clenched her fist tightly in anger. Flashback. Itachi was in the parents' room. Both were in the Caesar position, facing away from him. Fugaku spoke. I see. So you aligned with the other side. Tosan, Ka-san, We already know, Itachi, interrupted Mikoto. Fugaku continued. Itachi, just promise me this, that you will take care of Sayori. Tears welled up in his eyes, and his hands began to shake uncontrollably as he held the sword that was to taste the blood of his parents. I will. Do not fear it, Itachi. This is the path you have chosen. Compared to yours, our pain will be over in an instant. Our philosophies may differ, but I am still proud of you. You truly are a kind child, said Fugaku. Itachi steeled his resolve and completed the deed. As he stood over the corpses of his parents, his little sister burst into the room. Nissan, what a terrible person could have done this, cried a young Sayori. Pain must have caused it. Itachi gazed at her with tearful eyes and took on the form of Mangekyo Sharingan, Tsuyokiyomi. After leaving his sister behind with carefully planned parting words, Itachi sent out a crow clone to Danzo threatening him with the leak of the leaves secrets. Would Sayori ever come under threat? Meanwhile, the original headed towards the Okage office. Okage-sama, it is done, Itachi reported with a bow. Risen was sad that someone so young had to take on such a burden, but it was necessary. Thank you, Itachi. You have done a great service to this village. My mission is far from complete. I'll be infiltrating the Akatsuki under Jiraiya-sama's order, so I'll be sending some information back from time to time. But above all, I beg you to take care of Sayori for me, Hokage-sama. Risen smiled sadly. It will be done. It pains me to have to brand you as a traitor. Once again, Itachi, I thank you on behalf of the whole village. Uchiha nodded. Make sure she never finds out. With that, Itachi disappeared, officially defecting from the league. Present, Sayori fell on her knees as the whole truth matter finally fell on her. It crushed her heart to know that her brother loved her, actually, and yet all this while was forced to take on the guise of a traitor, hated by everyone. He still continued dutifully serving Konoha. She broke down and wept uncontrollably, mourning the loss of her beloved brother. Why? Sayori screamed at the heavens. Why is it so unfair? Why did it have to be you, Nissan? Why did you leave me alive? How was I different from the rest? I should have died along with everyone else, but you just had to shoulder this whole thing upon yourself. She wailed as she pounded the body of Itachi with her fist. She sobbed painfully into the chest of the corpse as she gripped the cloth of his shirt. Tears wetting the already soaked cotton fur. The rain she had induced beat down on her, almost like the sky was mocking her, reminding her that everything that had transpired was of her own doings. Raindrops rolled down her face, coinciding with her tears. At some point, she could no longer tell the difference, nor did she care. Sayori suddenly had a horrid vision of the past, a memory that had returned to haunt her. Flashback. Are you fighting for your own sake, or to protect others? Aku asked. Sayori's gaze softened. I don't get it really. I guess I fought to avenge my clan, but at the same time I also protect the people I love from being harmed by it. But I do. The girl nodded sympathetically. That's something I understand. It's a different kind of love, but it must kill you inside to be hated by the one you love. Because to protect them, you must be the villain, huh? Well, you're still fighting to protect someone precious to you. And that's something I respect even greater because you're sacrificed more than anybody to protect everybody. Present. At this moment she felt empty. She had lost all sense of purpose. That was when Sayori realized the flaw in her revenge. She had been so focused on killing her brother that she had lost the bigger picture. Everything else had been scrapped, given up in the pursuit of perceived ultimate goal of revenge, so much so that she even had to hurt Naruto. And now she truly knew that it was for nothing. It turned out that Itachi had loved her all along, and the realization that her clan was planning a coup against the village simply crushed her. Her heart ached, for she had hurt the person whom she loved just to kill the other person who loved her. Why? Her voice softened now as she collapsed on the floor. Sayori's mind escaped. Indra was concerned. After exacting revenge, the curse of hatred was running weakly through her veins. However, he realized just what it would take to get her back. Sayori, this is the village's fault. They were the ones who harmed your clan and your brother. They forced him into a decision to execute the clan and to shoulder all the blame while continuing to spy the village. They sucked all the benefits from the Uchiha clan. They killed off the conspirators without public knowledge. By covering up with your brother, who had to bear the marks of a traitor while still providing them information. Instead, Indra. Sayori glared at him with fierce eyes, something he did not expect. Although he could read her thoughts, it appeared that the next one was just newly formed. She had just come to revelations. Shut up, Indra. I know that you're trying to get me to go against the village. You want me to conspire against them, just to fuel your desire for the proliferation of the curse of hatred. I already hurt so many people precious to me. The first time I followed the curse, I will not foolishly follow the same path again and hurt more people. Danzo is the one who is to blame, not the village. He stole Shisui's eyes and forced Itachi to make a choice that he could barely decide against. Then the Kotsumatsu Kami was still an option, declared Sayori. Indra's eyes widened. How had she realized? The Uchiha shook her head. Naruto was right. The curse is dangerous. It is powerful but selfish. It makes one forget everything that matters, just to pursue an imperial dream that will never come to fruition. You are a bad influence, Indra. Your Suki curse in ancient language. What makes you think you can stop me? I was the one who gave you the powers of the Rinnegan, foolish descendant. I cannot believe you are my transmigrant, and I cannot believe that you have fallen into the ways of the pitiful will of fire. Sayori snorted. It's the particular flame that you will burn in. Give it up, Indra. The curse of hatred is eradicated, for I have seen the truth, ironically, with the eyes that you provided me, and have been cleansed by the fire that burns pride. For all who believe in it, don't forget that you're a guest in my house, she said, pausing to gesture pointlessly at her mindscape. And I can remove your influence just as easily. Indra growled. Damn you, brat! Uchiha walked away as a mental chain began to manifest and bind her ancestor before locking him behind 32 layers of adamantium. Do not forget this day. The next time you ever feel the slightest sting of hatred, my curse will fall upon you once again, warned Indra, just before Sayori summoned a gag onto his mouth. Reality. The Uchiha stood up and sealed the body of her brother. She would give him a private burial and ensure that his body would never fall into the wrong hands, for he deserved to be honored. She would eliminate his way by serving the village as he did. Finally, a new target. She glanced into a distance as she could see far enough to make out of the Hokage rock. She would have to warn Konoha about the other Uchiha, the Madara imposter. A ghost of a smile graced her lips. It had been so long since she last saw him, and she could wait to see how his infectious smile again. A sudden thought struck her. What if he didn't love her anymore? She didn't deserve it, given how badly she had treated him at the Valley of the End, but still hurt her to think that such a thing was possible. She could then be subjected to a CRA as well. She supposed that she could defect for real this time. Sayori laughed dryly at her own joke. How trivial she had made it seems. It reminded her how odd it was for them not to send any Anbu after her. Perhaps she had gained such a fearsome reputation that they did not dare to do so. But more hopefully, Naruto had been involved in persuading them not to. She blushed at the thought and chided herself for how easily she had let the Uzumaki affect her. She supposed that that was what happened when she allowed her heart to be with someone. Sayori shook her head, clearing it all of such thoughts. First she had to deal with Danzo. It was time to go home. Konoha Council chambers later. For whatever reasons have you summoned us, honorable elders? Asked Tsunade. Civilian council and shinobi heads alike were gathering behind the closed doors Konoha chambers. As the Godama Hokage was not told of why such a meeting was called to a place, Tsunade-sama, we elders have come to an agreement to approach 2 points in today's mission. The first is about the cubist Jinchuriki Uzumaki Naruto. The second is about the last Uchiha. Please begin, she said with narrow eyes. It has come to our attention that Naruto had received the recommendation from the Kage and daimyos present at the Chunin exams hosted 3 years ago on the day of the Konoha crush, and now that he's returned from the training with Jiraiya as well as the mission of rescuing the Kazekage. We believe that it is a good time to promote him to Chunin as a form of recognition of his ability. Given that he is a Jinchuriki of the village, it is important that he remains loyal, and one of the ways to maintain it, especially since he wishes to be Hokage, is to provide him with the advanced rank that he would want. Explained down. That can be it. He has an alternate motive behind it, I'm sure. Thought Tsunade, as she tried to recall what that would entail. She managed to suppress her shock upon realizing that he was trying to implement the CRA, but Sayori wasn't back yet, which she bet was the second point that would talk about. That meant Naruto would have to face the CRA alone. Oh, how she wished that Sayori would just drop from the ceiling and solve the problems at once. The Hokage gritted her teeth, but tried not to display any emotions. So, I suppose you intend on implementing the CRA, Danzo nodded. As we already know, Uzumaki Naruto is the son of our beloved Yondan, which we put him in a good place to accept the position of the Uzumaki clan head as our former allies. The restoration of the clan and the inheritance of its renowned chakra will boost the village power. Many of the civilian councilors were grinning at this point. The council had always adored Kakagenkai after all. Meanwhile, the clan heads were considering all this more carefully now. So I do promote Uzumaki to Chunin, thereby automatically granting him the status of the clan head, who will form his harem of wives, ventured Tsunade. At this, the council burst into a flurry of discussions. Yashi deliberated a while before raising his hand. I propose that my daughter be his chief wife, Yashi said, aware of his daughter's feelings, and since she wasn't going to be the next clan head anyway, she might as well secure some links for the Hyuga clan. Tsunade raised an eyebrow, though it was totally unexpected. Danzo asked, "Any objections?" Suddenly, a voice came from above, startling the council. I object. Everyone looked up, shocked that some Anbu could bypass the Anbu security detail whenever the council was in session, and that only one had picked up their presence earlier. Sayori dropped from the ceiling, flipping before landing smoothly on the floor with a soft thud. "Pardon my intrusions," she said, and everyone was shocked at her. As this is where I'm going to be leaving this part of, guys. Sorry for the mispronunciation in the part. I'm just tired, that's all. I hope you like it, and stay tuned for the horror story. It will be coming shortly as well. This is Apollo Uchiha, and I'm signing out. Peace.